it started recording already. So we're gonna. Hello. Today I'm going to show you guys just a quick little demonstration on assembling. Probably we'll do a 3-layer cake. We got some white cake here. We got some chocolate cake, some buttercream, simple syrup, and we'll just assemble it. I'll do it in 3 stages. So this first part is just going to be assembly, and we'll get a rough coat or a crumb coat on it. Then we'll send it to the cooler, let it set up a little bit, bring it back. I'll do the final icing, we'll let it set up one more time, bring it back, and then we'll show you a few little decorations. So the way I like to do it, you could bake layers in just rounds, and you would need either 3 layers of this, or you're going to bake it really thick and slice through it. But what I like to do is bake it into a sheet cake form. That way we get nice, smooth, even layers. And what I did was essentially take a cake board, find out the size of the pan that I needed. So we're going to call this a 6-inch. Just essentially traced around it, cut it out, so now I have my underneath cake board. So we really don't need that one anymore. If you measure properly, I mean, I could get 3 layers out of this if I was just doing all white cake, but since we have chocolate, I'm going to add in a middle layer of chocolate cake. So we just line that up. A knife, make sure you're going straight. If you're in at an angle, you're going to see that on your cake, and you'll have to trim it up later. I just get a nice straight cut. Move it over. Like I said, since we have chocolate here, we're just going to throw in a middle layer of chocolate. And that way you guys also be able to see the chocolate showing through a little bit more and realize how, you know, thick or thin of icing you will really need. It smells good. Can you guys smell that? No? Technology's not there yet. Alright. So I'm just going to clean off my cake board and put that down here. So first things first, I'm going to reach under here. You can pull apart some of the cake. Make sure you're not messing it up. Set it right on your cake board. And we have some buttercream here. This is the Swiss buttercream. And I'm just going to take a little bit and give it a quick little heat up on the stove, just to loosen it up. Once your icing's been sitting a little bit, you tend to get some other air pockets. So I just like to hit it on either open flame or water bath or something. And it's really quick. I mean, I just hit it already, and you can see it loosening up. Just hit it. And now I have just a little bit smoother of icing. Grab the spatula. So I got a piping bag. I do have a coupling down in there, but right now I'm not going to use it. We're just filling the cake right now. Just put a little bit in. Squeeze it out. I tend to wrap it around my finger, give it a nice twist so I have a good grip. Don't overfill your bag. If you overfill your bag, you're going to be working yourself too hard. Got to work a little bit smarter. So I usually just do a border down at the bottom, This is going to essentially seal it to our turntable. And I do one on top. And we have some coffee simple syrup here. So, if you want, you know, you can soak your cakes. It just depends on what you're trying to offer your customer. This one, say this could be called like an espresso cake or something like that if you wanted.
Yeah, Chef Matt. Chef.
We have a.
Just,
Hey, you gotta,
we're gonna pause it.
Here we go.
Okay, so we're back at it now. Cake's got a little coffee simple syrup, and we just happen to have a little bit of black cherry filling. So if you're doing a jam or if you're doing more buttercream, you know, having a border is going to keep everything from kind of going out your sides. So if you had a raspberry jam and you didn't do a border, it's going to start seeping out the side. So just, again, sometimes less is more on your cakes. If you overfill it, your next layer won't be able to mash up well, and it'll be sliding, and next thing you know, you got cake that's falling over. Alright, so we got a little bit of our filling in there. We're going to go with our next layer of cake, which is going to be the chocolate one. Get this out of your way. You can keep the scraps for either cake balls, cake pops, cake tastings, if you cut like a little square out here. So, and I'm going to flip this one over, that way I have the bottom of the cake. Sometimes you can look to see if, you know, you need to level it out, but with sheet cakes, things go pretty smooth. Take any crumbs. Alright, and we're just going to kind of repeat the process again. So we got our bag of icing. I'm just going to put a border on it. You don't need to go too thick to the inside or too high either. Just a nice little bit that's going to hold our layers together in the filling. So again, we're going to give it a little bit of our coffee syrup. Make sure you don't over soak it too, just enough that the cake's going to absorb it. If you give it too much, you're going to realize after a few hours that it's just, again, starting to seep out the sides, out the bottom of your cake. So just give it a little bit. And if you by chance had another layer of filling, different kind, but we'll just keep this one. Same with the black cherries. Nice and even. Grab our final layer of cake. And it's again your choice on this, whether you want to soak the top. I'm not going to do this one because it seems like it's a pretty moist cake, and we're just going to leave it as is. You soak your top layer too much, you're going to try to ice it, and the buttercream's not going to stay. So. Okay, so now we have our layers, and this is where I'm going to show you just a couple options. You can just take the back or the front of your offset spatula. If you have a triangle spatula, you can use that. We still have a piping bag, and we have some icing in the bowl. So some people, you can just grab a glob and just kind of throw it on top, like that. You can take your piping bag, you know, you can just continue throwing some around. This is just, again, our crumb coat, so you're not going to try to get this perfect looking. You're going to have cake showing through. What we're trying to do is make sure we secure all those crumbs to the cake, to the icing. Grab that. And we'll pop this in the cooler. You know, if you're doing multiple cakes, a cooler is going to be just fine. If you're in a hurry or something like that, you can pop it in the freezer just to get the buttercream to set. I tend to use my hands sometimes, like that. If you got clean hands, this works. Otherwise, you know, if you got clean table, you can scrape it on the table, pick it back up. You use your other spatula, you know, you're grabbing it on there, working it back and forth. You're gonna find many little different techniques that could work for you. All right, so that's pretty good. I'll take the triangle spatula now and just give it a really nice spin. Scrape that off. Take our top, do it once over. Alright, so that would be either, you know, one tier or one cake, and you should have a cake board underneath, so you can just move it, slide it up, and then we're going to send that into our freezer, and in about 5 minutes we'll be back at you, okay?